Everything is coming up Trump. And for whatever reason, it's not getting old. Because every time something happens, every time something is made whole again, the country heals a little bit more. And it has been remarkable to witness. You ever heard this? In the kingdom of the blind, the two-eyed man rules supreme. And right now, Donald Trump is that two-eyed man, leading the country out of one of the darkest periods we've ever seen. If you don't believe me, take a look at this. According to a poll, over 1,000 registered voters just ranked Joe Biden as the worst president in modern American history. Last on the list, coming in below Jimmy Carter and below Richard Nixon. And right now, Joe Biden is on track to leave the White House with the lowest approval rating that we've ever seen. Lower than Donald Trump after January 6, lower than George Bush during the financial crisis, lower than Richard Nixon right after he resigned. Jerry Baker writing in the Wall Street Journal today that this might be the first time since the 1980s that we've had a GOP president with the standing, the authority, and the legislative and executive resources to reshape politics in the U.S. and abroad. Translation being 42 days after the election, and Donald Trump could be the next Ronald Reagan. Politico today writing that what is happening right now is the difference between a shocking victory in 2016 and a commanding victory in 2024. And today, for the first time in 45 years, the stock market finishing red for a 9th straight day. The Dow has not had 9 losing days in a row since Jimmy Carter in 1978. That is the legacy that Joe Biden's leaving behind. And on the heels of all of that, even Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican standard bearer, a man from Massachusetts that never should have been the nominee in the first place, finally admitting after all of this time that Donald Trump is now the Republican Party.
MAGA is the Republican Party, and Donald Trump is the Republican Party today. And if you were to ask me who the nominee will be in 2028, I think it'll be J.D. Vance. The Republican Party has become the party of the working class, middle class voter. And you've got to give Donald Trump credit for having done that.
The Pew Research Center, again, as far to the left as you can possibly get, says that Americans are expressing warmer feelings right now toward Donald Trump, warmer than ever before. Morning Consult just coming out with a poll. Donald Trump's net favorability is now over 50%. It's the highest it's ever been. Even CNN, again, no friend of Donald Trump, no friend of the incoming administration, found that 54% of Americans approve of how Trump is handling the return to the White House. Even Van Jones, a guy that used to work for Barack Obama and now works at CNN, admits that the legacy media have been complete idiots. His words, not mine. Take a look.
Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know how I know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And we're still saying, well, how is this guy? We look like idiots.
Yeah, they're saying it. We're not saying it. The legacy media have never been this weak. In the days of Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper and all their buddies taking shots on New Year's Eve on CNN, those days are over. This program is now beating Anderson Cooper. And suddenly, every time Donald Trump takes a shot at the legacy media, it doesn't feel like he's complaining. It feels like he's telling the truth. And Trump's ability to finally call out all of these people and expose the people at these national cable networks, the worst people in the industry, have given rise to independent media, places like Newsmax. Did you see what Donald Trump did yesterday? This didn't get a ton of attention, but the CEO of the largest tech hedge fund in China traveled to Mar-a-Lago to announce that they are investing $100 billion in the United States. And Donald Trump sat there on national television and asked him for more money, as only Donald Trump can.
Ask him right now, would you make it $200 billion instead of
He can actually, believe it or not, he can actually afford to do that. Would you do that?
Well, my promise is 100, but, he's now asking to do more. I think, with your leadership, my partnership with you, with your support, I will try to make it happen.
That's good.
All right.
200. He'll make it happen. 200 billion investment.
He is a great negotiator.
You see him pull him in like that? That is remarkable. That is remarkable. And that guy who is worth billions of dollars just lets this 6'3" Donald Trump pull him over and kind of give him a little noogie on the top of the head. Nobody ever talks about what Donald Trump is good at. The media have spent so long trying to tear him apart that they've overlooked everything that makes Donald Trump so darn effective. Donald Trump has more human intelligence, a higher EQ, emotional intelligence, than any politician that I've ever seen. A guy just flew over from Japan and offered Donald Trump $100 billion, and Trump said that he wants more money, and the guy actually said back to Trump, we're going to see what we can do. What's another $100 billion? We are way beyond the art of the deal right now. Here's Stephanie Ruhle, and if you don't know who she is, don't worry about it, on what it was like dealing with the Trump campaign and Trump himself versus the Kamala campaign.
If I were to want to connect with VP Harris or President Biden, there's 50 people between me and that. I could write a note that maybe could get to somebody, then through Pony Express and a pigeon, something might end up in a mailbox near them. Yeah. And I called DJT to say, yo, can I have an interview? He told me to go myself, but I still was able to connect with him. Yeah.
But he still picked up.
Of course, I wish that she told her audience on MSNBC all of that fascinating information before the election. But everyone in the media right now wants a seat at the table. We've already got one. But livelihoods are now on the line for the rest of the network, so they're all playing nice. But it's not going to be easy. Old habits die hard, and the media are going to have a hard time flipping from 9 years of attacking Trump to at least trying to cover him fairly. Take a listen to the head of the ALCU on how they're already planning on fighting Donald Trump on day one.
Tell me about how you at the ACLU are thinking about your plans to try to defend American civil liberties in this term versus the first term.
Local governments, the state attorneys general, the governors, the mayors, we have this whole plan around a firewall for freedom, we call it. The idea that these local officials can really play an important role in stopping the worst of the government abuses.
How so?
Well, for instance, when they're going to try to detain and deport all these hundreds of thousands, up to 1 million people, that's an operation that they have the legal power to do the raids, but the logistics. And they're going to need mayors and governors or city councils to either give them access to police officers or not, jails. Where are you going to house all these folks? Right? And so part of what we're doing is we're preparing executive orders and we're organizing our folks to put pressures on elected officials so they don't roll over.
It's just remarkable. That's the head of the ACLU right there, like dinosaurs in the late Cretaceous period. They can see the asteroid off in the distance, and it means their imminent doom, the end. And yet they don't change. They don't do anything. They don't go in the other direction. And look, I get that there's going to be opposition. That's part of it. But is that right there the right strategy? Attack from day one? We're in the midst of a total shift right now in the culture. And the legacy media have two choices: evolve or fade off into the dustbin of history, because what might have worked 4 years ago, I promise you, will not work over the next 4 years.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.